6, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to Nighttime, week 4. It's finally week 4. I mean, we're already 4 weeks in. That's just crazy to me. I'm your host, Kyle DeWitt. Alongside me is Taylor Anderson, the birthday girl, but UCF couldn't get Taylor a win for this week, and I'm sorry about that. But we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more coming in. Stay tuned.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Nighttime. So before we went into commercial, Kyle touched on the fact that UCF could not get a win on the road against Louisville for my birthday, which makes me so upset. But as a fan of college football, it was a great game to watch. It was an offensive shootout. As a UCF fan and student, it hurt my heart in the last couple of seconds. Came down to back-to-back interceptions that did not work out in our favor. And we had a lot of injuries take place during this game. But Kyle, what did you think about this game on the road?
I like to think of this game as an emotional roller coaster for UCF. We started off the game pretty hot. We were scoring easy and often, and then in the second half we were just kind of stalemated at a point. But in the fourth quarter we kept up with Louisville. We had a tie game, and then we ended up getting an interception off a defensive lineman interception. It was a great tip pass and then an interception, but then first play, right as soon as we get the ball back, we decide to pass the ball with 1:21 left and don't run the ball while we're already in field goal range. And Dillon Gabriel throws a pick 6, and it sunk my heart to the absolute core because I knew we had that game won. We had that game in the bag. And I'm not going to say it's anybody's fault. It's not the play call's fault. It's not Dillon's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It was just a great play by the Louisville Cardinal, and I tip my cap to Louisville. They played a great game, and they honestly deserved to win.
I agree. I don't think Louisville's interception should take away from defensive lineman Morris Brash's interception against Louisville. Him falling on the ball and having the reaction to it, I think, and I completely agree with you, and I know some people in hitting the field don't. I agree. We should have ran the ball, run it 2 times, kick the field goal, end of the game. We would miss out on Dillon's injury, and now we do have a really good quarterback coming in as a freshman, and we'll touch on that later, but we would have Dillon, and it just hurts my heart a little bit. We did have a lot of players that did not finish the game. Ricky Barber, Jalen Robinson, Isaiah Bowser. So going into this bye week, it is kind of scary, honestly, that we have a lot of players that need this time to rest. But it was an offensive shootout. Our defense still needs a lot of work. But going back into offense, who was your standout player of this game?
My offensive standout in this game was actually one of the running backs. It was Johnny Richardson. He had 9 carries, 101 yards. It was an average of 11.2 yards per carry. The offensive line played great. I mean, if I really wanted to give it to a group, it'd have to be the offensive line because they played better than every single position group on our whole entire offense and defensive side of the ball. They were opening holes for the running backs, and Johnny Richardson was he was the person that benefited most from that. There was wide open holes for him to run, and he was making plays in the open space. He's the person that we should have been giving the ball to down the stretch. He only had 9 touches. I mean, with the way that he was running the ball that past game, we should have been giving him the ball more.
Yeah, I agree. Completely a great player, and I like how you touched on the offensive line. Really did a great job holding up for Dillon throughout this game. And moving forward, that is going to help out tremendously with this new quarterback, Mikey Keene, coming in. But my offensive player of this week was Ryan O'Keefe. He had 4 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. He also threw a little trick pass back to Dillon for a touchdown. So he really stepped up when he needed to for throws, especially with multiple receivers going out. And I think the offense just really honestly did pretty good this whole entire game. But moving on to defense, where I still think we need a lot of work, they did pretty okay during this game. But Bryson Armstrong, he had 8 tackles, 6 of those were solo, and he did have a broken up pass. And I think that moving in for the rest of the season, this defense has not been getting their hands on the ball when it comes down to passes. they're turning around at the wrong time. They're not really getting interceptions when they need to. I think they would stop a lot of these third down conversions from happening and getting the offense off the field as quickly as possible. So I think Bryson Armstrong really stood out to me just for that broken pass. What about you?
My biggest player standout was Quadric Bullard. I mean, he had 9 tackles, 7 of them solo. He was the only person on our UCF defense that was able to singly tackle Malik Cunningham. I want to tip my cap to Malik Cunningham real quick and give him a lot of credit because this man was all over the field. This man was making passes way better than against the Ole Miss game, and he was also the only person that was able to break a tackle on that Louisville offense. He was absolutely fantastic, and there was no way we were stopping him, but Quadric Bullard was the only person that was able to singly solo tackle him. And that's the only reason why I'm giving him Defensive Player of the Game for this game.
I agree. Malik Cunningham, great job. He honestly did really great prime time. So maybe he'll get some Heisman votes down the road. But I want to touch on our new quarterback probably coming in, true freshman Mikey Keene from Arizona. He did a great job, honestly, when he came in against our blowout against Bethune-Cookman. He had 55 yards and a touchdown. He is really comfortable in and out of the pocket. That's how he gets his team so far down the field. And he's able, during time of pressure, to get out and move and give his receivers time. So I think that is his biggest strength. I think moving forward, I'm honestly have full trust in him. I'm not scared at all. I think he's going to really show out. I think him and Gus are going to do great things, both their first years coming in. What do you think about our new quarterback?
Well, I mean, before I talk about Mikey Keene, I want to talk about why he's starting, and that's because in the last play of the game, we were trying to run a lateral play instead of run a Hail Mary. I mean, questionable play call in my opinion, but I mean, it allows for injuries. But Dillon Gabriel ended up getting hit up trying to make a lateral on the last play, and he ended up breaking his collarbone. In a technical term, be a fractured clavicle bone. But, I mean, he's most likely done now for the end of the season. It's not going to require surgery. I mean, all the prayers up to Dillon Gabriel. We've posted multiple times on social media about him, and all of our thoughts and prayers are with Dillon, of course. And we hope that he comes back better than ever for his senior season to hopefully lead the Knights to a conference championship and hopefully a college football playoff berth. But, yeah, Mikey Keene, he is a true freshman out of Arizona. He played high school in Arizona. And he ended up, and, yeah, like you said earlier, he ended up playing against – it was Bethune-Cookman, 4 of 7, 55 yards and a touchdown. And coaches have compared him to Mackenzie Milton, a young Mackenzie Milton, with the way he's able to go outside the pocket, make plays for his offense, and also be able to run the football. I mean, he might be a right-handed Dillon Gabriel too, who knows. I want to see how Mikey Keene plays before I really start comparing him to other people. I mean, yeah, he's still a true freshman. The team's definitely going to have to step up for him in order to be successful.
So moving into this next week, we do have a bye week, and then we play Navy, which technically is kind of another bye week, but we never know at this point in the season. I think moving forward for this bye week, I think it's going to fall on the veteran players like Kalia Davis. I think that they really need to show up to practice and let these new players that are probably going to have starts now, he needs to lead the pack instead of these other veterans and show out every single practice, give it 110%. Don't let anything, the new quarterback, anything, pressure get to the players. Just let the coaches play and call what they need to do, and I think that will be fine for the rest of the season. What are you looking forward for this bye week that the team needs to do?
No, you hit it. You hit the nail on the head. We need to regroup. We need to get healthy, and these veteran players that have been here for a while need to step up and take Mikey Keene on their back and carry him, because with the way that our offense was playing, even with Dillon Gabriel, it wasn't stagnant, especially the passing side of the football. And now with Mikey Keene in there, hopefully he can be hopefully he can stabilize our offense a little bit. But I think the biggest veteran that needs to help us out the most is, like you said, Kalia Davis. Whenever watching these games, especially on the sideline, he's the one that's trying to pump up our defense in order to get stops, in order to force turnovers. And he's the vocal leader that UCF has needed for a very long time. We actually didn't even have a vocal leader last year, and that's a reason why we went 8-4, and that was a reason why we didn't go as far as we need to. But Kalia Davis, I think, needs to be the one that steps up and be our vocal leader, because he's might be the best player on our defensive line, might be the best player on our defense. And so he needs to be that vocal leader that ends up pushing our team to play better.
So super fast, I know that we are a football show, but we do want to shout out another UCF team, the UCF women's volleyball team. They've won past 3 AAC championship games, and they just won the Sunshine Challenge Cup where they beat Florida Gulf Coast, FAU, and they handed Miami their first loss of the season. They're doing great things. What do you think about this great volleyball team here at UCF?
It's just showing how good McKenna Melville is. She's our best player on our team. She's a possible All-American, definite all-conference player. She had 47 kills in 3 games. I mean, we won the first 2 games in 3 sets and beat Miami, which was giving them their first loss of the season. Shout out UCF Knights volleyball team. But McKenna Melville had 47 kills in 3 games. That's absolutely insane. I know a lot of you guys are watching this for the football content, so you guys might not know about volleyball, but kills is whenever you spike the ball and then you end up getting the point. So 47 kills in 3 games, absolutely fantastic. Great job, UCF Knights volleyball. But we're going to go to commercial right now, and we're going to bring Jason Hamby on for the next segment and talk about college football.
We're gonna need to
Welcome to the HTF Hot Wings Challenge. One of you guys actually do hot sauce like regularly?
No.
No.
It's like the least black thing I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
I say Johnny goes first on this one.
I agree.
No, the Buccaneers are going to play the Washington football team.
That can't happen.
It will happen.
I'm terrified.
No, I really hate it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. You're wrong. If it wasn't for Kanye jumping up on stage and doing the I'm gonna let you finish, but no one would know what it was.
Nitros, dump truck. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Why is nitro thick?
I don't know how many squats I need to do to get up like something like that, but I will do it.
Oh! Oh my God!
Baseball, obvious reasons. Babe Ruth, if you want to go currently. I feel like that's just like a thing.
he jumped off the wall to catch the home run. Now, we made it through all the way to the end. Thank you for joining us.
I'm never doing this again.
It was rough.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nighttime. I have a very special guest, one of our hosts here at HTFN, Jason Hamby, host of Take Me Out to the Podcast, our baseball podcast. Go check it out every other Tuesday. But I'm going to go and throw it over to you, Jason. How'd you feel about college football this week?
It was good. I'm excited to talk about it, and we had a lot of good games this past Friday and Saturday, and we got a lot of good ones this week. So it's going to be a good talk.
So touching on some of those games from this past week, we had a really big game with Bama and Florida, the Crimson Tide coming into the Swamp, and I regretfully have to say Florida really impressed me this past week. They did a great job offensively and defensively. I thought Bama was going to roll on them with their first 2 possessions, having a touchdown, and then their third possession starting with an interception by Emory Jones, going up 21-3. It was just regular Bama football, and Florida was able to pull it into 2, and they just missed their 2-point conversion, and then Alabama ultimately won the game. But Emory Jones, props to you. I know you had some mistakes, but you did pretty good throughout this game, and I think that Florida really showed out. I know that Kyle kind of has an opinion that Florida is better than Georgia this season. You want to touch on that?
I mean, I'm not going to go that far to say Florida's better than Georgia, but for Georgia against Clemson was pretty convincing as to how their offense is going to play throughout the rest of the season. I think Florida's offense actually looks a little bit more impressive. But Georgia might have the best defense in the country, even better than Alabama. I mean, Alabama's defense definitely looked vulnerable in that last game. But I want to go ahead and touch on Emory Jones for a minute. We were missing Anthony Richardson, probably the best player that Florida has. And Emory Jones stepped up big time whenever it mostly mattered, especially after that interception. He played a flawless game after that, maybe except for the 2-point conversion at the end of the game, riding the read option all the way to the goal line. Not a big fan of the play call, but yet again, I'm sitting here talking in front of the camera. I'm not on the sideline. So I'm not the coach. I don't make the decisions. But besides that, Emory Jones, great job overall. I mean, I think Florida has the best rushing offense in the country, and it definitely showed. I mean, we had 150 more total yards than Alabama, and we controlled the clock in the second half. That's the way that Florida was able to at least make this a competitive game. Make it a competitive game. Taylor, I mean, do you have any thoughts about that as well?
No, I agree. I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't know if Florida has the best rushing offense. I might have to disagree with you on that. But Jason, I know you're a big SEC guy with Georgia. What did you think about this Bama-Florida game?
Yeah, I think Georgia definitely has the best defense in the country. I'm not ready to say that Florida is going to be right in that game with them. But like y'all, going into this game, I thought it was Anthony Richardson plays or it's not close. And like you said, we have to give props to Emory Jones for keeping this game really close. But actually, I think it was the Florida defense in the second half. They only, in the last 2 possessions for Bama, a field goal, holding them to a field goal and then forcing a punt, allowing Florida's offense to get back on the field and make it as close as it was. So props to Florida. They looked a lot better than I would have expected going into this game.
So moving on to another big-time game, Penn State versus Auburn, a whiteout game. I honestly thought that this game was pretty much the same amount of entertainment as Bama and Florida. It was really good, came down to the last couple of plays. Auburn really stepped up, and I didn't think that they would put as much onto Penn State as they did, especially with Penn State's defense. But ultimately, it came down to Bo Nix just not being good enough. He was good, just not great. I mean, he averaged 5 yards per pass. And when you're going up against Penn State's defense, I don't know. I just don't think that's how you get out of a game like that as a whiteout. It didn't work in their favor. I think Auburn did a good job, just ultimately not good enough. Kyle, what did you think about it?
No, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head, Taylor. Penn State is one of the best defenses in the country, only allowing Bo Nix to pass for 5 yards per pass. But Bo Nix, I mean, we've just seen it time and time again, just been waiting for 3 years. I mean, he was supposed to be the prodigal son of Auburn. I hope you guys remember his first game whenever they played against Oregon at a neutral site game, and Bo Nix threw a touchdown pass with 28 seconds left in order to win the game. And they thought that Auburn's school and football program was saved. They thought they were going to go win 2 or 3 national championships with Bo Nix. But, I mean, just on the road, Bo Nix has never delivered, and he's just never stepped up to be that great quarterback. He's been good. He's been better than mediocre, but he's just never stepped up to that next level that Gus Malzahn wanted or that Auburn wanted, and especially their new coach. And it's just not what he's delivered. And I'm sorry, Bo Nix, but you're still a mid-tier quarterback in the SEC, and there's probably still 5 or 6 names that I can name above you.
Do you think that he'll ever this season step up to the plate?
Can you say that one more time, Taylor?
Do you think that at any time this season he's going to be able to step up to the plate for Auburn?
I mean, he stepped up against Alabama 2 years ago, but I mean, with the team that he has around him, and especially at a brand new coaching staff, I don't see Bo Nix stepping up this year. Maybe next year whenever they have a little bit more stability and he has another year to learn the playbook and a whole entire offseason. But as of right now, no, I don't believe so.
Jason, what about you? Do you think so?
I think Bo Nix just is a guy who needs a lot of weapons around him to succeed. And last year he had Seth Williams and Anthony Schwartz, two phenomenal receivers. And they were there to bail him out when he would make poor decisions. Seth Williams would just go up and get the ball when he would throw it up for grabs. This year he doesn't have those guys, and I think that was the difference in this game. I think if they have those receivers like Seth Williams and Anthony Schwartz, they win this game. Offensively, the only thing they were really able to do consistently was run the ball with Tank Bigsby, the best name in college football right now. They just kept handing the ball to him. I think he had over 200 yards and had 2 touchdowns. But Bo Nix just not able to get it done on the road. Tough environment. A lot of quarterbacks would fail in that environment. So, I don't think this is his year.
Okay, now I want to touch on really quick my favorite game of the Saturday lineup, Cincinnati versus Indiana. Cincinnati looked like they were going to lose to Indiana in that first half against Indiana's biggest crowd that they've had in years. Cincinnati went down 14-0 with Ritter having interceptions, fumbles. The offense was just not looking good. They looked like a wreck coming in to another territory. And I think the momentum completely shifted for Cincinnati, though, when Ritter got a targeting call called against him after being hit on a 3rd and 10. And that is completely when Indiana just kind of didn't step up to the plate against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati took ahead of Indiana. But it was a completely entertaining game for me to watch at home. Selfishly, I was kind of hoping Cincinnati didn't win and Indiana would pull out. But Kyle, what did you think about this game?
Cincinnati doesn't go on the road against Power 5 teams all that often, especially a pretty decent team in Indiana. At that, they struggled the first 2 games of the season, but Indiana came to play on Saturday, and they wanted to go ahead and beat a Group of 5 team. They just couldn't pull it out in the end. Desmond Ritter definitely did look rattled in that first half. You touched on it. He had an interception and a fumble. But just watching this game, it just always seemed like Cincinnati just had the better team. They just had to find the mojo, and they just had to swing the momentum in their favor. And so when it ended up happening in the second half, Michael Penix Jr. just did not have a great second half. And I love Michael Penix Jr. to death, the lefty legend, but I want Cincinnati to lose, and they won't lose. It's just, oh my gosh. Jason, what do you think about it, man?
Yeah, I think what you touched on, Michael Penix Jr., 3 interceptions, and they were not just like balls up for grabs. These were crucial interceptions, balls thrown on their side of the field, giving Cincinnati phenomenal field position. I disagree with you guys, though. As a UCF fan, I root for Cincinnati. I think in order for UCF, and I know we're going to the Big 12, so it doesn't really matter that, but how many years have we rooted for an AAC team to get the respect and to be in the conversation for the playoff? This Cincinnati team, this could be the year where they do it. And obviously they're not going to get there by losing to teams like Indiana. We need them to win. And also, if UCF happens to beat them in a couple weeks, that'll make that win look a lot better than if they're undefeated going into that game.
So Jason, do you think that Cincinnati was rooting for UCF when we were having our undefeated season and we were doing so well?
I think so. I know it's a big rivalry and we're not a huge fan of them and whatever, but rooting for your own conference is a big thing. And I think Cincinnati, what's best for them was best for us that year.
Okay, so moving into Ole Miss Tulane, just really quick. Ole Miss honestly has been my show-out team for the season so far. They had a perfect September record. They're putting up highlight reels on their offense. Their defense is doing really good as well. They had a pretty good game against Tulane. They showed out and had a great offensive showing. Kyle, what did you think? Do you think this Ole Miss team is the real deal?
I honestly do think they are the real deal. They have over 1,000 yards in 3 games, and the biggest difference for this Ole Miss team for me this season is their defense. They're playing a whole lot better defense. They're only allowing like 24 points a game, which is almost 15 points less than they have the past 2 seasons. I think Lane Kiffin's definitely got something going on, and as of right now, I like Matt Corral over any quarterback in the SEC as of right now.
Jason, what about you?
Yeah, I think they are legit. But they're still going to lose games. The SEC West is the best division in college football. They're going to have to play Bama, Auburn, and A&M, and Arkansas. So that's 4 tough teams right there. And 2 of those will be on the road, 2 of those will be home. I think this is a good team, but their record might not reflect it just because of how good the SEC West is.
All right, so we're going to touch on some more games coming up in our next segment with Primetime Picks, so stay tuned.
Here's the story of a show creator who was gearing up to form a bigger crew.
One's a California guy,
A god of graphics.
one hosted Girls on Deck.
It's a story of a 4-year nightmare, which is finally coming to an end. Thank God.
And the new kid, a Packers lover.
Tampa forever.
So then one day all these people worked together to face a year unlike one that's ever been. And his group rebranded in Orlando. That's the way we all became HTFN. 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 That's the way we became HTFN.
That's blasphemy!
Hey.
Welcome back to everyone's favorite segment here on Nighttime. It is time for our Primetime Picks of the week. I am losing. It's fine. I mean, I think Kyle's only ahead of me by 1 game. Whatever.
9-3.
It's fine. It's fine. I swear sometime this season I will come back and I will win. Hopefully UCF doesn't give me another loss, but that's fine. So moving into our first primetime pick, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. So I think Wisconsin is going to show up for this game. Ultimately, I don't think Notre Dame is a great team. I think they're too high up in the poll right now, and that really showed against Florida State, which is 0-3. Wisconsin is number 2 in defense right now, and they lead the nation in time of possession. So ultimately, I'm going to give it to Wisconsin 26-17. Jason, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's a phenomenal team, and it's interesting because it's Jack Cohn, former Wisconsin quarterback, going up against his former team. Wisconsin's running back by the name of Ches has 51 rushing attempts through 2 games. So that's 25.5 per. He's going to be the key for Wisconsin to win this game. I'll take them 23-20.
Yeah, no, I have to give it to Wisconsin too. They're going to win probably 28-10, I would assume. Notre Dame just looked awful. They've looked awful the past couple of weeks. They played Toledo, barely, almost lost to Toledo, and now we're looking at an 0-3 Florida State team that they had to beat in overtime. I mean, Wisconsin has the second best defense in the country statistically, and they've given up 66 rushing yards in 3 games. So, I mean, I have to give it to Wisconsin here at home.
So moving on to Texas A&M versus Arkansas, I think that this is going to be a pretty good game, but I think it's going to be all on the ground. I think it's going to be a complete run game, but ultimately I think Texas A&M is going to pull this one out against Arkansas. Very close game, but coming down to the run game. I'm going to give it to Texas A&M 23-20.
With how bad that Texas A&M has looked so far this season and how great Arkansas has looked, I have to give it to Arkansas. I mean, just Texas A&M just has not looked good. They won 10-7 versus Colorado. I know it was on the road, but I mean, it's Colorado. They're not good at all. And now they're going on the road to play Arkansas, who's been red hot. I have to take it to Arkansas. I'll give them 31-28
This
in
is
overtime.
going to be the game that I come back and beat you, but whatever.
That's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
Jason, what about you?
I gotta go with Arkansas. They're the home team. I think I would pick A&M if they had their starting quarterback Haynes King, but he's out. It'll be backup Zach Zalcata, I believe is how you pronounce that. He's like 23 of 50 passing completions this year. He's just not completing many passes. So it'll be a road test for a young quarterback. So I got to give it to Arkansas, but I will say A&M, if they have the best tight end in college football, Weidermeyer, if he can have a huge game, it'll be theirs to win. But I got to go with Arkansas, I'll say 27-20.
Give him Woo Pig. All
Okay.
right, next game, we have Clemson versus North Carolina State. North Carolina State is no slouch. It's the only reason why I'm doing this game, and Clemson is kind of struggling. So, I mean, I'm going to go and throw it to Taylor first. Who we got? Clemson on the road to face North Carolina State.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Clemson. I mean, their offense has been a complete snooze fest this season. Not looking too great, especially against Georgia Tech. But I think Clemson is just going to come out on top of NC State. I'm giving it to them 23-16.
A snooze fest just like your record. But go ahead, Jason.
It's one game. One game. Okay, Jason, what do you think?
I think this game is really interesting. The over-under on this game is set at 47.5. Clemson's first game against Georgia was a total of 10 points. Their last game against Georgia Tech was 22 points. So if you want a free bet, you might have to slam the under. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game, just like their first 2 against Power 5 schools. So I'm going to go. I'm not ready to say Clemson's done. They're going to win this game, and I'll go 17-10, another low-scoring one.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head, Jason. I think it's going to be like 20-17. I think DJ Galele finds a way to pull it out late. But there's no one in the ACC that I see that can even beat Clemson, and Clemson doesn't even look that good. It just shows how bad the ACC is. I'll take Clemson 20-17.
All right, super fast. We're going to touch on Nebraska and Michigan State. I think Michigan State show out against Miami. I know they're not that great, but they're going to give me the hand on this one. I'm going to go Michigan State 34-20. Jason?
I'll go Michigan State 38-13. Nebraska's starting quarterback is 13-20 in his 33 career starts, and Scott Frost just isn't that guy. Michigan State big.
Kenneth Walker, the third running back for Michigan State. He's a contender for the Heisman Trophy right now. Michigan State is ranked, and they're on a roll. Michigan State wins 38-21. That's all our time we have for our show today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap.